There comes a moment in life when the dynamic between parents and children begins to shift. You've spent decades nurturing them, guiding them, and making sacrifices to ensure their happiness. But one day you notice something unsettling. Perhaps they disregard your advice, brush off your opinions, or even speak to you with a condescending tone. Worst of all, they may make you feel like a burden, and it hurts. If your children have started treating you with less respect than you deserve, it's natural to feel frustrated, even hurt. You may want to remind them of everything you've done for them, of all the times you put their needs ahead of your own. But here's the reality. Demanding respect won't earn it back. In fact, it may push them further away. Instead, there's a much more effective way to reclaim their respect, one that doesn't involve fights, arguments, or resentment. Today, I'm going to share 6 powerful strategies that can help transform the way your children see and treat you. Some of these may surprise you, but if you stay with me until the end, you'll discover how to regain your role as a respected and valued presence in their lives. Strategy number 1. Stop chasing their approval. One of the biggest mistakes parents make as they grow older is trying too hard to please their children. Have you ever found yourself constantly accommodating their schedules, saying yes when you want to say no, or suppressing your opinions just to keep the peace? The painful truth is that the more you seek their approval, the less they respect you. Respect isn't earned through self-sacrifice, it's earned through self-respect. When you consistently put their needs above your own, you unconsciously teach them that your feelings don't matter. And once they believe that, it becomes easy for them to take you for granted. I once knew a woman named Margaret, a strong, independent woman in her youth. But as she got older, she started letting her children make all the decisions. She adjusted her entire schedule to accommodate them, kept her opinions to herself, and even tolerated their dismissive behavior. "I just want to keep the family together," she once told me. But instead of bringing them closer, it had the opposite effect. They stopped valuing her. She thought she was preserving harmony, but in reality, she was losing her voice. If your children don't respect you, the solution isn't to demand respect, it's to stop acting like you need it. Set boundaries. Say no when necessary. Speak your mind, even if it's not what they want to hear. The moment you start respecting yourself, they will start seeing you differently, and over time that respect will return. Strategy number 2. Don't argue, lead by example. When your children dismiss your opinions, interrupt you, or speak disrespectfully, your first instinct may be to argue, to remind them of everything you've done and demand their respect. But here's something that will save you years of frustration. Arguing never works. Think about it. When was the last time you convinced someone to respect you by fighting for it? Respect isn't won through words, it's earned through presence, through the way you carry yourself, through the way you respond when your patience is tested. If you meet disrespect with anger, you reinforce the idea that they have power over you. I knew a man named Frank, a retired teacher who once commanded respect in the classroom, but at home, his grown children dismissed his concerns and even laughed when he tried to correct them. At first, he argued back, trying to prove his worth, but the more he fought, the worse things became. Then, one day, Frank made a change. He stopped arguing and started listening. He spoke calmly, with wisdom, never needing to win, and his children noticed. They saw a man who wasn't desperate for their approval, who didn't need to prove himself, but simply carried himself with quiet confidence. If your children don't respect you, don't fight them for it. Show them what respect looks like through your own actions. Maintain your dignity, speak with confidence, and never lower yourself to their level. When you stand firm with grace, they will take notice, and in time they will follow your lead. If you're finding these insights helpful, leave a comment below with #2 to let me know you're here. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss valuable content like this. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful videos to inform and inspire you. Strategy number 3. Withdraw your emotional dependence. One of the hardest lessons to learn as you grow older is that you can't rely on your children for emotional fulfillment. Of course, you love them deeply and want them to return that love and respect. But the moment they sense that you need their validation, affection, or attention, the dynamic shifts and not in your favor. The truth is, people, even your own children, respect those who are emotionally independent. When you rely on them to make you feel valued, it creates pressure, and instead of feeling gratitude, they may start feeling burdened. This can lead to impatience, irritation, or even avoidance. The more you chase their love, the less freely they give it. I once knew a woman named Helen, a kind-hearted mother who gave everything to her children, but as they grew older and got busy with their own lives, she found herself waiting by the phone, hoping they would call. When they didn't, she called them instead, often too frequently, reminding them how much she missed them. Instead of drawing them closer, it pushed them away. They started seeing her calls as an obligation, rather than something to look forward to. Then one day, Helen changed her approach. She stopped waiting. She stopped calling first. Instead, she focused on herself, picking up new hobbies, going out with friends, taking care of her own happiness. And something surprising happened. Her children started calling more. They started respecting her time, seeing her as someone with a full and independent life. The lesson is simple. The less you depend on your children to make you feel needed, the more they will start valuing your presence. When you show the world that you can stand strong on your own, something remarkable happens. People begin to respect you, not out of obligation, but because they genuinely admire the life you've built. And this includes your children. Action number 4. Set boundaries and enforce them. One of the biggest reasons children lose respect for their parents is because the parents allow it. If you tolerate disrespect, dismissiveness, or being treated as if your time and feelings don't matter, it will continue, not because your children are bad people, but because people, especially family, treat you the way you let them. Setting boundaries doesn't mean cutting off your children or starting conflicts. It means calmly and firmly deciding what kind of behavior you will and won't accept, and more importantly, enforcing those boundaries when they're crossed. Take Robert, a retired businessman who once led a company with confidence and discipline. Yet, with his adult children, he struggled. They interrupted him, dismissed his concerns, and even criticized his lifestyle. Initially, he stayed silent, telling himself it wasn't worth the fight. But then he realized something. Every time he tolerated their behavior, he was teaching them that it was acceptable. So Robert changed his approach. When his son interrupted, he calmly said, "I'll continue speaking when you're ready to listen." When his daughter dismissed his opinion, he replied, "You don't have to agree with me, but I expect respect." And when they continued to push his limits, he made it clear if they couldn't treat him with basic respect, he wouldn't be spending time with them. At first they resisted, but over time, they saw their father wasn't backing down. They realized he valued himself enough to demand respect, and because of that they began giving it. If your children don't respect you, ask yourself, am I allowing it? Because if you don't set boundaries, they won't set them for you. And if you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. If you're still here and finding these insights valuable, comment #4 below to let me know. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video that can empower your life. Action number 5, stop giving without appreciation. One of the quickest ways to lose respect is to keep giving to people who don't appreciate it. And as parents, we do this far more often than we realize. We give our time, our energy, our support, even when it goes unnoticed, even when it's taken for granted, even when entitlement replaces gratitude. Here's the truth. When you keep giving to someone who doesn't value it, you don't build love or respect, you build expectation. Your kindness stops being a gift and starts being something they believe they're entitled to. And the moment you stop, they don't feel grateful. They feel inconvenienced. Take George, a father who had always been generous with his children. He helped them financially, dropped everything when they needed him, and even rearranged his life to accommodate their needs. But instead of gratitude, he was met with complaints. No thank yous, just expectations. And the worst part, when he needed their help, they were too busy. One day, George made a change. He stopped overextending himself. He stopped offering help before it was even asked. And most importantly, he started saying no when necessary. At first, his children were frustrated. They didn't understand why he wasn't bending over backward for them anymore. But then something shifted. They started valuing his time. They started appreciating his efforts. Because suddenly they realized that his generosity wasn't unlimited. It was a privilege, not a guarantee. If your children don't respect your time, your effort, or your kindness, step back and ask yourself, am I giving more than I should? And if so, what would happen if I stopped? Because when people see that generosity is conditional on respect, they start treating it that way. If you're still with me, comment #5 below and let me know what you think. Action number 6. Build a life outside of them. One of the most powerful ways to earn your children's respect is to show them that your happiness doesn't revolve around them. As parents, we devote ourselves to our children. But as we get older, the dynamic shifts. If you've spent your entire life prioritizing them, they may start seeing you as someone who has nothing else going on. People respect those who have their own purpose, their own interests, their own sense of fulfillment. If your children see that you rely on them for entertainment, validation, or meaning, they might start feeling suffocated, or worse, they might see you as someone with no life of your own. Take Eleanor, a widow in her late 70s. After losing her husband, she poured herself into her children's lives. She checked in constantly, gave unsolicited advice, and expected them to fill the void her husband once did. But instead of drawing them closer, it pushed them away. They visited less. Their calls became shorter, and Eleanor felt more alone than ever. Then she made a choice. She joined a book club. She traveled with friends. She volunteered at a local community center. She stopped making her children the center of her world, and something incredible happened. They started reaching out more. They were curious about what she was doing. They admired her independence. They respected her. If your children don't respect you, ask yourself, do they see me as someone with a full, meaningful life, or as someone just waiting around for their attention? Because when you show them that you are living, not just existing, they will start seeing you in a whole new light. If you're still watching, comment 6 below. Final thoughts: respect isn't something you can demand from your children. It's something you inspire through your actions, through your boundaries, and through the way you live your life. If your children have started treating you with less care, less consideration, or less respect, don't waste your energy getting angry. Instead, shift your approach. Stop chasing their approval, because the less you need it, the more they'll give it. Lead by example, because your dignity speaks louder than your words. Withdraw emotional dependence, because the more self-sufficient you are, the more they'll respect you. Set boundaries, because people will only treat you as well as you require them to. Stop giving without appreciation, because when generosity is taken for granted, it loses its value. And most importantly, build a life outside of them, because people respect those who have their own purpose, joy, and fulfillment. If you do these things, something incredible will happen. Your children will start seeing you differently, not as someone waiting for their attention, but as someone who commands respect simply by being who they are. And in time, that respect will come back to you, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it.